welcome back to my channel. Sorry for being the most consistent YouTuber. Hashtag me being sarcastic. Let's just start with the loops as promised in previous video. And I have given some notes. I have written some notes for you. I'll added some crisp or something in that. I So you'll find these notes really very helpful. I have written some codes or some questions, and by the end of this video, you would be able to solve all these questions. These would be homework probably, and their logic I would be discussing in the video. And these 5 questions you have to solve it by yourself. Don't worry about the answers. I would be giving you the answers here. I have given, like you can see that I have given answers, but just don't go and check those answers first. Try it by yourself. I'll just suggest you this every time. And let's just go into our Visual Studio Code and learn what loops really are. So I was writing this, so we'll just clear this console and we'll write yeah, this is our boilerplate code, which we have named funny. If you don't know how to, if you want to know how to name or you have to create boilerplate code, you just comment down below. So I'll make a different video on how to use Visual Studio Code and what are its uh, features and what you need to know when you are coding with Visual Studio Code, and why I prefer Visual Studio Code. If you want video on that topic, I'll definitely make it, and if you want, you can comment it down. So let's just start with loops. So what are loops? Sometimes you want to write, I'll just open docs first. Words, yeah, word file. We'll just create word file. Sorry for being so much all over the place, but we'll just get in. So what are loops? Loops, sometimes we want to print a program uh, which involves a lot of lines, like you want to print numbers from 1 to 100 or something. So how can you, one way to do it is writing each and every line, that like let's just print 5 lines of or one numbers, one from 1 to 5. So I can write it as 1 backslash n, so that I'll just copy this. We have written this for 5 lines. Yeah, so you can see that this way we have written 10 lines of program, 10 lines of code just to print 5 lines, and that was really very cumbersome because we have to print, and it just does not look good, and our it uses a lot of time because you we can't write every time. If I have to print 100 numbers, I can't write 100 numbers and print if 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 till up until 100. I can't do that. So loops are being used in this case, in all these cases where you 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 write 2 to 3 lines and you can print 100 to 2000 of words, 100 to 200 words in just a second. So loops are used in that case where you have to repeat something over and over again. It's just not only when you have to print numbers. It's you can apply logic to more than one number or inputs. Like if I want to add 2 numbers for many times, like if I want to add one all the natural numbers, I can use all these loops. So I guess you might have had a clear idea by now that how why we need loops. And there is a diagram which illustrates loops really very nicely. Like you can see that our program comes from here. This is our program starting point, and I'll just draw. Let's just take a color. This would be nice. Our program starts from here. This is our input. This is input given by us, and then this our program enters. This is a loop. This whole thing is a loop. Our program enters over here. We'll just change the color. I'm just loving this color. Yeah, we'll just change the color. Our loop enters over here. Is the starting of our loop, and the condition is being checked. If the condition is being checked over here, if the condition is, then our program runs from here, and a condition is checked over here. If the condition is true, then the code which we have written in that loop is being executed, and the loop is forwarded again, and this loop continues, and the condition is being checked again. If the condition is true, then the process repeats, but if it is false, like if condition is false, if for some reason our condition becomes false, it is false, so our loop is directed over here and it exits the loop. Our command exits the loop and we are out of the loop, and the next lines of our code are being executed. Whatever it is, the next lines are being executed. So this is how a loop works. I know I have made a bit mess over here. We'll just clear it. Yeah, we are done. We'll just go to Visual Studio Code, and now you know what loop, how loop exactly works, how command of loops are being shifted, and how the conditions are being checked. So let's just try to write loop. Before writing that, I'll just show you there are three types of loops. I've written some loops over here. I've illustrated those with a table. You can see that there are three types of loop. You just forget about the nested loop for now. We'll just come to that part after you know all these three loops. The first one is while loop, the second one is do while loop, and the third one is for loop. So you might be wondering that what is the difference between while loop and do while loop and do while loop. So while loop, we'll just write a syntax for while loop, and then first you should know what is while loop, then we will go to do while loop, and I'll try to make you understand what is exactly the difference between while loop and do while loop. So let's just try to write a code for while loop. We'll just declare an integer first, integer I, sorry, I is equals to 1, and yeah, we'll write while, and I will not use a snippet for now. I'll just, and we'll have to give a condition over here which would be checked before while I is less than 10. Let's say we have to print numbers up until 9, so we'll have to write 10. Or if you want to print numbers till 10, so you have to give 11 or write here 11, or you have to just do add is equals to, and al always be always make sure that you write is equal to sign after greater than or less than sign. This is really very important. Otherwise it would show, compiler would show an error. I used to do that a lot in my starting, so let's just not do that. And then we'll have to add curly brackets, and then we'll write a code over here like printf percentage d, and we'll write I. So if I print this now, what would happen is my code has gone into an infinite loop, and this won't stop until I terminate this session. So what happened is this condition that what I is less than or equal to 10 is always true because nothing is happening to my I is remaining constant. So we'll add one more condition, I plus plus, we'll increment our I so that it won't, the condition becomes false after 10 numbers. So we'll just print it. We'll just add a backslash n or spaces in between so that you can see the difference. You can see that our loops get terminated as it goes. Like for one, the loop comes. We'll just break this all in simple states. Like we have initialized our I to 1, and then for this, for I is equals to 1, our condition is true. So the loop will execute the commands. The conditional statement of this code would get executed. So um, first it would print I is equals to 1, and then this condition would be, the control would should be shifted to this condition, and this condition would be implemented. So I would become 2, and then for 2 it would check our I, which is 2 is less than or equal to 10. Yeah, that's true. So this would be executed again. So 2 would be printed and I would be incremented to 3, and this would continue up until 10. And then if when this is 10, like for 9 I is equals to 9, this would be true, and this would be I would be equal to 10. And when I equal to 10, this is would be the condition true, while condition would be true for 10 also, because 10 is less than or equal to 10 is equal to 10. So this would be true, and 10 would I would be then incremented to 11. But for 11 this condition won't be true, because I 11 is not less than or equal to 10. That's why we would exit our loop. And if I would have written over here printf done, so after 10 it would our program would have printed done with the loop. So this is how our loops work. After the control would be shifted to here, this would be printed, and then a program would be completed, or it would exit. So this is what while loops do. And now you know what while loops are. Let's just go and find what do while loops are. So let's just write a do while loop. This is a syntax for a do while loop. We'll just write a syntax. And yeah, do while loop would do the same thing, but the difference between while loop and do while loops are, do while loop don't check the condition first for the first go. It just executes for itself for the first time, and then after from second time it checks the condition. Like for this it would work exactly like a while loop. Yeah, this would give us, this has given us the same results as of the while loop. But if I change something, like I'll write 11 over here. So what it would do is it would run for the first time. You can see that 11 done with the loop. So what it did was it it ran for the first time. It executed itself for the first time, but for the second time it checked its condition, and the condition was false. So the control was shifted to the 13th line, which was printf done with the loop. That's the difference between while loop and do while loop. So we would be checking more questions on do while loop further. Let's just go to the for loop now. Let's just control clear all these things. And right, I prefer for loop over while and do while loop, because for loop we don't have to write a lot of things. I won't be let's just not use snippets over here. We'll just write everything by our own. For loop we'll have to initialize something. There are the syntax for loop is, first we have to initialize something like integer k is equals to 0. I've initialized it. Then we have to use the semicolon, and then you have to give the condition, like k is less than, let's say 10. Then we'll have to add semicolon, and then again a condition which would make this again one code which would make this conditions false. So I'll just write k plus plus, which would increment our k value of k, and then we'll have to write. I'll just write printf percent d. I just forgot double inverted commas, percent d, and we'll write I. Sorry, k. So our loop will continue. We'll just write printf just to check that our loop was. Why do I write three O's? And we'll just add a backslash n over here in this front so that it looks good. And we'll have to, yeah, we have written code for loop. Let's just try to execute this. You can see that 0 to 9 we have written zero numbers from 0 to 9, and then in next slide it has given that done with the loop. It has printed done with the loop. So I hope the syntax for all these loops mm, would be a bit clear to you now. Let's just go with solve the examples so that the idea would be more clear to you. So let's just clear the everything, and let's just go to the questions what we have. So I've given the conditions of loop program for printing numbers 0 to 9. I've written that, and you have this. What is the question? First question is write numbers from 1 to 100 using all three types of loops. So I'll just show you how to write all print numbers from 1 to 100 with for loop. You can do the same for while and do while by your own. So I'll just write this with for loop first. For, we have to first write a specify or initialize integer is equals to uh, 1, because we have to write from 1 to 100. You can also go with, can also write 0 and then add 1 plus 1, write 1 plus 1, less than 100. We'll do less than or equal to 100. I guess we don't have to do that. We'll just, okay, we'll do, and then I'll show you without that also. So we'll go and write here 1. And we'll just write printf this is our code, and we'll just run this. You can see that this gives us a garbage value. The reason being we have not initialized or specified what is the value of d over here. You should not do all these mistakes. So we'll just say, now it returns a proper value that we wanted. So this was our first question. You can write this in different ways. Like if I initialize I as 0, and we'll just remove this is equal to sign, and I add plus 1. So this would also give us the same value. See, this started from 1 because you can see that. So you can do this one, or else you can also do 101 and start this loop from 1 And so these are different ways of doing the same thing. See, you would get the same thing again. So you can do it in different ways. We'll just backslash in and it will look nice if we do this, I guess. Yeah, this looks nice. So this is how we do this for these things. So you can do it. There are many ways of doing for loop or printing 100 numbers using for loop. You can also check with while loop. You can do it by yourself with while loop and do while loop, and then comment down below your code and I'll drop a heart to that code. So we'll just look at the second example. Take input from the user and print numbers from 1 to the input given by the user. So you know how to take inputs from the user. So I'll just show you how to do that. Scanf. We have not initialized any integer, so let's just initialize something first. I'm really sorry. Let's take E. Scanf. Let's take value from the user of E and %E, and then run in while loop. Let's just do it in while loop. We'll have to give two integers over here, I also, which would be equal to 0. You have to initialize that for also, and while I is less than E, because we have to write this for E values, E numbers, and printf. I plus 1, because we have initialized I as 0 and we want to print it up until E. So we'll just write I plus 0, and we'll add a backslash n. We'll just make it a more prettier by asking user enter the number and backslash n. We'll just run this and see. Enter the number and we'll enter 4. This is an infinite loop. We have not specified any condition, so we'll just add a condition over here, I plus plus, so that our loop gets terminated. Don't go in an infinite loop. We'll just write 4, and yeah, we have printed 4 numbers. We can also do it for 1000 or 2000 and any number you want to. We'll just let's for fun go for 2000 numbers. I went for 20,000, and this will print all 20,000 numbers. Depending on the speed of your computer, it would take time. It it is only at 6,000 now. This would continue for a long period of time, so we'll just terminate that. It was just for fun, but it prints all the numbers. So yeah, we did pretty great job. And just don't forget to add a code which would make our condition false, or else you would go in an infinite loop the way I went. So this is done. You can try it for and do while loop by yourselves. So let's just go to the third question. Print even numbers between two numbers given by the user. This is the question of nested loops. Here two loops would be in the picture. So we have written a code to scan two numbers, E and I, and we have to find numbers between or even numbers between these two numbers. So let's just hope that e is less than I. Let's just assume that, or we'll specify user to write e less than I. So we'll just for int j is equals to e, and our condition would be e less than I, e less than I, and we'll increment e so that our program don't go into an infinite loop. And we have to check it for even numbers. So how can we check it for even numbers? It should be divisible by 2. That is, its remainder when it is divided by 2 should be equal to 0. So how we check the remainder is by using the modulo function. So what the modulo function gives us the remainder. So we'll just use if statement here, if conditional statement here. If we have written if statement, else statement is not required, because yeah, we don't have to do anything else apart, like, so we can do this and we'll just run this. It is asking us for two numbers, let's see, 4 and 8, and inside these two numbers there were 4 and 6 only, which were even numbers. So yeah, this program is running pretty good. We can say that. We'll just add a space over here, and if we write equal to, so the 8 would also get printed for 4 and 8 again. Now this time this would be 4 6 8, because we have initialized or given I as greater than or equal to, e as greater than or equal to I. You can do this for like 3 to 9, so 4 6 8 again. You can do this for any number, like we'll take a we'll take greater numbers like 1 2 3 and 5 6 7. So it would give us all the numbers, all the even numbers between these numbers. So this is pretty cool. And we have the fourth question says is print odd numbers between two numbers given by the user. It has the same logic, but what you have to do is not equal to. We'll have add, this is a not relation operator. This is a relational operator, not equal to. If e ampersand 2 is not equal to 0, then print e, and this would, let's just write 3 to 9, and this would give 35979. So this is what was the logic for odd numbers. You can do it for other loops. You would get the answers to all those questions, so don't worry, but try it yourself. So we are done with 4 questions. Let's just jump into the fifth question. This is definitely the question of nested loops. That was also question nested loop condition, something of that sort, because there were no loops. Just clear all these things, and now we have to print. uh, I'll just print for 4 lines, and for rest of the thing you do it yourself, try it yourself. For taking input for users for lines, that you can try it yourself. So let's just initialize an integer I is equals to, let's say, 4. I'll do it for 4 lines first, and let's go for loop. We'll initialize I over here. Let's just do that. K is equals to 4, and I is less than k and I plus plus. Now this is for the lines. This code is written for, we have written this code for the lines. Now for the things that are in this line, that is the stars, number of stars which are present in these lines. So we'll again add a loop for the stars, for printing the stars. So let's just add a loop for loop. I love using for loop, so we'll just initialize an integer j, which is would be equal to 0 again, and j would be smaller than or equal to I. Let's just say that. And j plus plus. So yeah, this is done, and we'll print the star with a space in between so that it looks good. And we'll just change the line by writing printf backslash in the first for loop so that it changes the line. So let's just try to run this, I mean. You can see that we have written this code for 4 lines. You can take input from user and store it in, you can do what is exactly actually written in fifth question, take input from the user for the number of lines by storing. I've initialized k is equals to 4, but you can take the value of k from user and write it yourself. I won't do all things. I won't be spoon feeding you. So take input from users by yourself and try to write that. If you don't get how to write that, I would be given the solutions to all these questions in that PDF, and that would be, the link would be in my description. So yeah, thank you very much. This was it for the for loops. If you have any query, you can go check my Instagram or DM me on my Instagram. I would definitely look at your queries and try to solve them, or comment down below. I would definitely consider your queries and try to solve them. Thank you very much for watching, and I have a quick announcement to make that I would be releasing videos for C programming every Saturday. So stay tuned. Every Saturday I would be releasing a video, and yeah, I would try to be consistent from now, because there were a few circumstances like my exams were there, so that's why I was not able to make videos, but I would try now. And thank you for, if you are watching till here, thank you for your patience, and thank you very much. Let's hope that I see you in next video really very soon.